Chapter 21, The Island of Tiboulen. Dante, although stunned and almost suffocated, had sufficient presence of mind to hold his breath, and as his right hand, prepared as he was for every chance, held his knife open, he rapidly ripped open the sack, extricated his arm and then his body. But in spite of all of his efforts to free himself from the shot, he felt it dragging him down still lower. He then bent his body, and by a desperate effort severed the cord that bound his legs at the moment when it seemed as if he were actually strangled. With a mighty leap he rose to the surface of the sea, while the shot dragged down to the depths the sack that had so nearly become his shroud. Dante waited only to get breath, and then dived in order to avoid being seen. When he arose a second time, he was 50 paces from where he had first sunk. He saw overhead a black and tempestuous sky, across which the wind was driving clouds that occasionally suffered a twinkling star to appear. Before him was a vast expanse of waters, somber and terrible, whose waves foamed and roared as if before the approach of a storm. Behind him, blacker than the sea, blacker than the sky, rose phantom-like the vast stone structure, whose projecting crags seemed like arms extended to seize their prey, and on a highest rock was a torch lighting 2 figures. He fancied that these 2 forms were looking at the sea. Doubtless these strange grave-diggers had heard his cry. Dante dived again, and remained a long time beneath the water. This was an easy feat for him, for he usually attracted a crowd of spectators in the bay before the lighthouse at Marseille when he swam there, and was unanimously declared to be the best swimmer in the port. When he came up again, the light had disappeared. He must now get his bearings. Ratonneau and Pomègue are the nearest islands of all those that surround the Château d'If. But Ratonneau and Pomègue are inhabited, as is also the islet of Dôme. Tiboulen and Lemaire were therefore the safest for Dante's venture. The islands of Tiboulen and Lemaire are a league from the Château d'If. Dante, nevertheless, determined to make for them, but how could he find his way in the darkness of the night? Hold on. I realize that we are in chapter 21 now, but I need to backtrack for just a second. What do you think the experience is of the turnkeys and governor when they go to Dante's cell to feed him, and in recognizing that he hasn't moved since the last time they brought him food, reach over to his shoulder to turn him over, shake him awake, say, "Hey, what's going on with you?" And they turn over a corpse. That's a horror scene that I wish I could see. But also there's a lot of talk about the kind of disgrace that the prison workers had for, the deceased. Isn't Dante also, didn't he do a little bit of a bad to Faria there as well? Ultimately Faria will get his burial once the prison recognizes that was the body. But, okay, I think I'm getting a little ahead of myself. They're going to recognize that Dante is gone, but that Faria is still there. So maybe that's going to be a plot point to come. I don't want to get ahead of myself. What's going on here? Dante is in peril, sinking to the bottom of the sea. Now, for all of the immersion Dumas gave us in the kind of horror of Faria's last moments, I feel like this was kind of a layup that he just really quickly goes past. That feeling of jumping into a deep body of water, and then that panic you feel when you're like, oh shit, I'm never going to reach the surface again. I'm not going to make it in time. I'm going to suffocate. I'm going to die here. But maybe that's not applicable, because that's not something Dante would feel as such an experienced swimmer as he is. So maybe it isn't appropriate to put that moment here. It just seems like such an easy thing that most people have felt to kind of help bring us into this perilous moment. Let's also not forget Dante straight up naked during all of this. He's coming to the surface, like he's die-harding himself. He's MacGyvering himself out of this sack and coming to the surface, taking stock of his surroundings, the different islands around him, trying to hide from the 2 grave diggers. Like, there's a lot going on in this passage, and he still has to have his wits about him to decide which of these 4 islands he's going to go to: Ratonneau, Pomègue, Tiboulen, or Lemaire. I don't want to do a spoiler alert, but I mean, the title of this chapter is The Island of Tiboulen, so I think we know which one he's going to go to. But he says that Ratonneau and Pomègue are inhabited, which are we to assume that Tiboulen and Lemaire are not? He says they are the safest for his venture. So I guess we just have to continue to follow Dante's adventure here as he saves himself naked. He's naked through this perilous, tempestuous sea that he finds himself in. How good does it feel, despite being in the middle of the night and naked in shaky waters while being pursued, to just be out of the goddamn dungeon already, huh? Man, I realized last chapter was the shot in the arm I needed to kind of shake me loose of what's been going on here on the show. So I'm excited. Let's switch things up. Let's see where we're going. Join me here tomorrow for more of Chapter 21. Glad you're here. See where we go. Okay, goodbye. The Countdown of Monte Cristo is part of the Gruntwork Podcast Network. This show is produced, edited, and hosted by Landon Solano. The original text of The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. Theme song by Magic Solo. If you want to support the show and others like it, visit patreon.com/gruntworkpod. Thank you for listening. See you tomorrow.